Just as a side note before I start this video, Bella Ramsey uses she, her, they, them pronouns, and I alternate between both in this video because usually when you're in conversation with them you ask which pronouns they prefer, but I don't know Bella Ramsey. I'll never meet Bella Ramsey, so I have alternated between both of their preferred pronouns throughout this video in hopes of sort of getting it right on both of their preferred choices. So I hope that's alright. Feel free to educate me in the comments if I'm wrong in that decision, because I don't want to be misgendering anyone. For years now, Hollywood has been aging characters up. I can't pinpoint how far back it goes because I only started reading books whenever I was in high school, like properly, like obsessively, like really obsessively. So that was only when I started to notice when the age of a character in the source material, if they are too young and they are the main protagonist, that they get aged up for the film adaptation. Many could argue that this is just because child actors suck. It's a fact. I'm sorry. I'm not saying that there isn't a good child actor out there. I'm sure there's an obscure 10-year-old out there with the talent of Kristen Dunst in Interview with a Vampire that I don't know about, but it's a general consensus and common knowledge that on a whole, if we're talking majority, child actors suck. However, I'm beginning to think that there's another precedent with this theme. What drew my attention to this in particular is The Last of Us. The Last of Us TV series was a worldwide phenomenon. No, I haven't watched it yet. I don't have, what is it, HBO? Is it HBO or Paramount? I can't remember which one it is, but whichever one it is, I don't have it. But I've heard good things. My friend Alec wants me to watch it, and it's on my list. I swear it is, but I have the attention span of a newt at the minute, and the idea of paying attention to anything longer than 10-minute YouTube videos is a bit of a feat for me, and I want to be able to watch this program properly and give it the attention it deserves, so I want to wait until I actually feel like I can give it my full and undivided attention. But I know from what I've seen online that it is a very good adaptation, which is amazing for a video game based adaptation, and it's been getting top marks across the board, even though there's been people trying to review bomb the LGBT episodes, but we won't get into that. That's probably a video for another day. On a whole, it's a hit. People love it. When Bella Ramsey was picked to play Ellie, there was backlash. The backlash was inevitable. I don't know if there was any backlash when Pedro Pascal was hired to play Joel, but there was inevitably going to be backlash whenever Bella Ramsey was picked to play Ellie, because people always have something to complain about. Wrong facial features, wrong hair colour, wrong height, wrong this, wrong that. It's inevitable when you're casting a character that is from a different source material to the adaptation that's going to happen. There is always going to be a complaint of some sort there. Trust me, I know. I've spent a long time in the trenches watching adaptations happen now. Over a decade of my life has been based around watching adaptations happen. It was inevitable some people were going to complain. But again, from what I've heard, Bella Ramsey has done an amazing job. I have seen a few people saying that she didn't do an amazing job, but there's always going to be outliers who didn't like the performance, and that's fine. Everyone has their own opinion. The problem now is that a season 2 and 3 has been commissioned. I'm not sure what the third season will be about because there's only 2 games, unless they stretch out the second game into a third season. I don't know. By the way, thoughts and prayers with whoever is hired to play Abby. You've got a job cut out for you, girl. But we've got more coming. And the problem that people are having now is that in the second Last of Us game, there's a time jump. I think Ellie is about 14 in the first game, and there's a time jump to where she's 19. And people are claiming that this means that there should be a recast for an older actress. The thing is, Bella Ramsey's 19. They aged up the character, the actress they chose to play Ellie in the first game. They aged her up. They chose, well, I don't know if they aged her up or if they chose an older actor and just pretended that she was 14. Again, I haven't watched it. But people are complaining that Bella Ramsey looks too young to play the older version of Ellie in the second game, even though she is exactly the age Ellie was in the second game. In fact, because they'll only be starting filming, God, who knows, like a few months from now, Bella Ramsey predicted that a few years from now, it would probably be about end of 2024 that the next Last of Us game will probably come out, and they've said that it's probably around about that time. So there's a long time to wait. So Bella Ramsey is going to be older than Ellie was in the second game. But no, they look too young. I just find people claiming that Bella Ramsey is too young looking, even though she is the exact age at the moment of the character that Ellie was in the Last of Us 2. I just find it hilarious that people find that she's too young. Because people are used to these main characters being aged up. They aren't used to seeing someone look like a 19-year-old playing a 19-year-old, because we have this theme of having like 40-year-old people playing high schoolers in Netflix movies. And even in my favourite adaptation ever, The Hunger Games, the actors who played the characters were aged up. Jennifer Lawrence and Josh Hutcherson did not look like they were 16. I think when they started filming, Josh Hutcherson was 18 and Jennifer Lawrence was probably 20, 21. Because, I mean, there was a photo circuiting, I'll put it in here if I can find it, that showed what Jennifer Lawrence and Josh Hutcherson would actually look like if they were the ages of the characters in the original books when they were reaped for the Hunger Games in the first book. Because they were both still acting at that point, so there's photos of them online at that age. And they look young. They look like babies. And the reason that people can't connect with that is because they can't seem to put young people in the position that these stories put them in, because they're young. It's like they're too young for that. And really, part of the horror of the Hunger Games was that. And part of the horror of The Last of Us should be that despite a time jump, Ellie still looks like a child, because 19, you're barely just out of childhood. Like, yeah, you're an adult, but like you've only been doing this shit as an adult for a year. So it's not like it's not like as soon as you turn 18, bam, adult thoughts, adult behavior. It takes time. You don't just become an adult immediately. I think I've heard of quite a few times that your brain doesn't fully form until you're 25. So that means I've got a few months left until my brain finally finishes sorting itself out. Let's hope that maybe that helps a bit. But I like the decision not to recast Bella Ramsey, because it gives a reality, a grounding to these things that a lot of adaptations don't have, because you need to have that reality checked of, yeah, they still look like a child because they are technically still a child. Like, they're not long out of childhood, teenagehood, and they're having to deal with this shit. That's the reality of the story. It was the reality of the story in the Hunger Games. And I'm glad that maybe this is the breaking of that habit of having adults playing kids. Because seeing people actually look like the age that they're portraying helps the story, gives a kind of reality to what you're witnessing. And the fact that people are complaining that Bella Ramsey doesn't look old enough gives me bad vibes anyway. Like, they want like an older actress, because it makes me feel like they want to finally get the opportunity to then sexualize Ellie, because they feel like they could do it when she's 19, because it makes them feel better. But if Bella Ramsey, who is 19, doesn't look to them like she's an adult, or they're an adult, sorry, I've been using both throughout this video, I left a little note at the start, and it gives that, it means that they can't, like, that they personally can't sexualize them then, because it doesn't look like a child. It does look like a child, and that makes them feel weird. And you should feel weird, okay? I personally want us to start having that reality put in there. That fact that kids look like kids, for God's sake. When I was in first year of high school, I looked like this. Yet in the Netflix movies, they all look like this. It doesn't add up. And it just adds a kind of Hollywood gleam onto everything, and it makes things hard to relate to and be like, yeah, I feel like that's high school. I remember seeing all the guys that looked like they were 40 that weren't teachers, and were in the same year as me. No. Have adults look like adults and have kids and teenagers look their age. 2K23. Please. Anyway, this video is kind of all over the place, but I saw an article and a load of people complaining on Instagram about Bella Ramsey not being recast for The Last of Us 2, even though she's the exact age Ellie is in The Last of Us 2, so... And I wanted to sort of put my thoughts down on it. I really do think it's a good idea to start having actors the age of their characters play the character so that it doesn't look ridiculous. In some cases it does work. I think it worked in the Hunger Games. Barely worked in the Hunger Games, but sometimes it's just ridiculous, like in the Kissing Booth movie and The Perks of Being a Wallflower, like Emma Watson's supposed to look like she's in high school, and it's like, that's not... You look like a supermodel, like... So it's nice to have a reality and a thing and a way in these movies to feel real than it all feeling out there and like too distant, and it's Hollywood and they're all pretty and they all look perfect and photoshopped, blah 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 blah, and actually make people look like people, you know? So weird concept, I know, but it sounds bizarre concept for Hollywood, so maybe this is a step in the right direction, who knows? Anyway, let me know what you think down below. Like, comment, and subscribe. Check out my book. Don't do that if you don't want to. I don't want you there if you don't want to be there. And remember, a 19-year-old, funnily enough, looks like a 19-year-old. Bizarre. When you turn 19, you don't just suddenly turn into an older person just because you're technically an adult. Okay? You can still look like a child, alright? So, anyway, remember that, please. And don't sexualize Ellie. Like, if that's all that you're wanting her to look older for, please go away. Please, alright? There's such a wonderful universe in The Last of Us, and if that's all you're there for, then you're not there for the right reasons, okay? So, sorry. See you later. Bye-bye.